it's quite heavy to take on many students and the dramas and things that they have going on if you don't trust awareness. But if you have this space like mine, then even if it lasts a little while, it's like throwing a rock into the ocean. Anybody's dramas, really. I'm not saying I'm exceptional or any of that. I'm lucky to be alive this long. So if one of y'all kill me, then it's fine, okay? But I want to say that I never really felt like the students can affect my lifespan or my health. I know that's talked about in Vajrayana, but you can't make a sick person sick. You can't injure an injured person. You can't send somebody through darkness who's already been through the darkness, who's already died many times over. So how can you kill the deathless? You know, it's not just me, it's you all too. Your mind is beyond birth and death. And we have to embrace that teaching, okay? And we have to embrace that awareness is your guru. That's your main teacher. And I'll be there too, you know. My awareness is there too. All of our awareness is there. Our minds are together in a great sort of Indra's net, right? So, anyway, I think there's reassurance in truly coming home to your mind. I often hear people discussing deep concepts and trying to relate them to Dzogchen, but saying, oh, ultimately, you know, yeah, ultimately you don't exist, but we're talking conventionally, you know, there's a subject here. No. Ultimately and conventionally, no subject, no reference point. So anyway, this view is very important. You get introduced to it. I think many teachers are out there introducing. Here I've been so lucky to find people that trust me enough, that try to practice and have been introduced to the nature of their mind. And once you have that recognition, there's at least we depend on an aha moment or an oh yeah moment, kind of like the Kool-Aid man. Old reference. But there should be some kind of yeah, because you're seeing something and it's not very glamorous and exaggerated. Your response, right? Hey, little bear. Oh, and he's not waking up this time. Wow. Excuse me. That's what happens when you eat everybody's food. Little bear. See, I just tossed something light over there, like this little cat. Little bear, wake up. Your snoring is overriding my Dharma talk. Little bear, it's Dharma time. Come here, little bear. He's upside down, like upside down. Little bear, you are snoring so loud right now, little dude. All right. So I don't know how much I need to elaborate, except that it's very difficult when you have that little aha moment. We can verify that, and in my opinion, there are probably yogis who can see it in your eyes, in your face, in your whole body. They can see if you've had that recognition or not, and then they can see if you're covering it up right away after you've had. You may have seen it, and then as soon as you see it, that was just a little nothing. This guy's full of it. Or, some Dharma practitioners, they see it and they're very, very thankful and happy because they've been waiting to see that. And so there's more silence around that recognition. But either way, if you're more intuitively inclined, I feel like you're going to have a oh yeah moment. Like, oh. And then if you're intellectual, perhaps it's aha. But that's a very subtle distinction. I don't want to speculate. I'm not going to say for sure. Okay. And for others, it may be a slow sinking in, even. But either way, that's why we share these things. We vocalize because we want to be able to verify the nature of mind. And even, getting the time, place, and situation right so we can share, maybe pointing out to others, right, in a non-hierarchical way. So that's the key first step in Dzogchen, is this recognition. You can do a lot of analysis and conceptualization in Dzogchen, and you can justify that conceptualization. But Longchen is very clear that that is the antithesis of awareness. It's the antithesis of recognition. And I always cite the probably page 106 through 112 and Basic Space of Phenomenon. It's a great section on conceptualization as a cognitive obscuration. So whatever happens after you recognize that pure naked awareness, outside of thoughts, outside of feelings, then this is where the Sangha and the teacher and the scriptures come in handy. Because now, how are you going to familiarize with that? Some people say short sessions many times. Well, maybe, right? Maybe. If you do short sessions, short bursts, it's definitely recommended, but you do them typically with a teacher, right? You have the scriptures here. We go through the texts. We're rooted here in the lineage. So it's a little bit different than just telling you, hey, just sit there for 10 minutes and do nothing, like they would tell you in cognitive therapy. It still works. There's still some benefit in that, for sure. Let your nervous system relax, let everything settle again. It's good. But once you've recognized this pure cognizant aspect of your mind, your Buddha nature, then you do nothing. Then it's a whole different story. And because you have that watcher, you have that conditioned self also resting within pure cognizance. So anyway, however you get help, to my understanding, it's best to have Sangha, to have people around to help you familiarize. And you'll also have some discipline and devotion and diligence with you. And the more you familiarize with the view and spend time with the Dharma, and the less you spend time taking refuge in samsara, right, then that view will become more and more prominent, that awareness, that nature of mind. And then you don't really need anybody anymore, because you're starting to see what cessation looks like. You're starting to see what self-liberation looks like by resting in the view, right? So then you can go into truly that third phase that we have here in our little curriculum, which is effortless abiding. Basically entering the stream of nirvana, because before you were in there giving momentum to karma, creating karma, fabricating, cultivating. But now you're allowing things to be, even as you're doing things, paradoxically. And there's self-harmonization in that. Is that making sense to everybody? 3 main phases of Dzogchen. A lot of you are like, yeah, we got it. But, you're going to be way ahead of the game knowing this, okay? All right. If you ever want to inquire more about it, just let me know. So we'll go into Longchenpa's text here, and it starts with overwhelming the six modes of consciousness with splendor, states. Although samsara and nirvana arise naturally from the expanse of the three kayas, they never waver from the basic space of the three kayas. By the way, if anybody wants to discuss anything, you can chime in, okay? This isn't so much a formal transmission as it is a text exploration. So one comes to a decisive experience of the spontaneous presence of all that occurs. And here are the root verses of the way of abiding. Spontaneous presence, unborn and indeterminate, is the ultimate ground of being. The way things arise without beginning or end cannot be suppressed. The way things are without beginning or end has no frame of reference. The way things are freed, ineffable by nature, is uninterrupted. Following the point at which things arise, one comes to a decisive experience. This is known as dissolution into Dharmakaya, resolution within the ground of being as basic space. So see how it says one comes to a decisive experience that correlates with Garab Dorje's statements, and then Garab Dorje is basically stating, hey, have confidence in one thing and one thing only, self-liberation of your conditioning. And that happens around, after the teacher, after the Sangha, and all the great yogis they're reminding you of the view until finally you unbind, you cognitively diffuse from the movement of your mind. So we're intertwined into our thoughts, into our emotions, into our body, into our subjectivity. And through familiarization, through the blessings of the lineage, we have all these great yogis and teachers everywhere. We start to, after introduction to the nature of mind, pointing out instructions, we start to unbind to the point where, wow, I can see this myself now. I don't really need anybody else to tell me this awareness is here permeating all my experiences. I totally know that. So now you can have that indwelling confidence because you yourself have seen it to a significant point. And so basically it makes sense, right? Like a friend, the teachers just help us get closer and closer enough to where we can stand on our own. Like maybe when a child's first learning to walk and at first getting that assistance. And we all get that. Every teacher has had a teacher. So another key point here is just like Garab Dorje's statements, this is dissolution into Dharmakaya. So you come to that decisive experience that your conditioning dissolves into emptiness, you see? And what else is release of tension except the realization of emptiness? If I have tension right now in my chest because I feel some problem in my life, well, just realizing that that's empty, that there's nothing there, releases the tension. And that's dissolution into Dharmakaya. It's contraction being released. Right? So emptiness is when we're dividing, we're contracting and aggregating into psychic dimensions. So let's see what Longchenpa's auto commentary on those verses say. I think for a short stanza, that's very powerful. So all phenomenon arise initially from the unceasing expanse of spontaneously present awareness. Wow. What are the implications of that, everybody? This little thing we call awareness. At first, we're like, oh, yeah, awareness. And in our modern world right now, in the meditation and Dharma worlds, it's almost not almost, I believe it's oversaturated with the word awareness. You just hear that word and you're like, oh, yeah, I got awareness. but we don't think about it. All phenomenon arise initially from the unceasing expanse of spontaneously present awareness. The implications of that are deep. Yes. Okay. I mean, I could just go in on that one line right there, but I'll spare you. But thereafter, they continue to manifest in light of awareness. Finally, they are freed, vanishing within the expanse of awareness, awakened mind, as unchanging, spontaneous presence. You see, because awareness itself could never be subject to time, time occurs within the womb of awareness, within the boundless, wall-less womb of awareness. And so any feeling, any temporal feeling would be held by awareness in an unchanging way, just like space is able to hold a planet rotating, things like that. So here the implications are pretty powerful, that spontaneous presence, that has to do with Mahamudra as well, you see, because you get sealed into pure presence. Even if you get a little anxious or upset or something like that, you're sealed deeply into pure presence as an energetic evenness there, okay? So, yes, unchanging, spontaneous presence. Very good. And then we know when we're deviating. You see, that's where liberation is happening. You know when you're getting stuck on a thought and then you're deviating from spontaneous presence because you're thinking about the future. Therefore, your nervous system, your emotions are following you into the future. You're no longer living in the presence. Or maybe you're analyzing what's happening now. Why is this happening to me? I don't know. I don't know. Even then, you are not living in the presence. You're living in the present, which is still temporal. And then the past, oh my goodness, doesn't it sneak up on us so much, and how much it occupies our mind? And so we reside in this imaginary dimension called the past. It's a psychic dimension called the past, present, or future. You see, and those are all cognitive obscurations, um, distorting the pure presence. So, since there is no deviation from this process, their departure is guaranteed. So to speak, they converge, excuse me, so to speak, they converge within a single sphere of Dharmakaya without edges or corners. Ah, very good. I just said that. The wombless, wall-less womb. So cutting through the three times by the great master Garob Dorje states, the ground of being, without beginning or end, is spontaneous. The way things arise, without beginning or end, cannot be suppressed. The way things are, without beginning or end, has no specific frame of reference. The way things are freed, without beginning or end, is uninterrupted. Without interruption. It's funny, I was waiting for Yeshi to scroll and we had an interruption, but yeah, okay. So, little synchronicity there, subtle synchronicity. Excuse me. So, without interruption, the nature of phenomenon is the expanse of evenness. Everything abides naturally within the expanse of evenness, in the single nature of phenomenon. There is no question of whether or not there is evenness. Yeah, Yeshi, I'll just read a chunk of it, okay? And then I'll give you a long pause. And, yeah, we just do our best. You're doing a great job. You know, it's going well. Sometimes it's just down there. But any questions about evenness and non-referentiality, the watcher, the witness? Only certain meditators are really getting to the level where they're even able to see that there's a witness, a subject, a conditioned subject. So when you're starting to notice that the one who's thinking, etc., it is significant. And that's the part in the past 5 years with cognitive science that they're starting to prove. They're starting to be able to see that there's this conditioned subject. Excuse me. Okay, so no question. Very good. Because the realm of evenness is uninterrupted, ongoing, ultimate truth, without extremes, is the fortress of the sky above. Since the four limitations are negated in a single state of spontaneous presence, infinite extension without extremes is the fortress of the earth below. Owing to the connection between the directions above, below, and every point in between, victorious ones speak of the fortress of blending these in the open space between. Unbiased and all-accommodating view is termed fortress. The bastion of awareness, awakened mind, is termed stronghold. The expanse of the unborn basic space of phenomenon is termed domain. Naturally occurring timeless awareness, surpassing ordinary experience, is termed entitlement. And the razor's edge of what is indeterminate and naturally arising is termed weapon. The whirling blade of spontaneous presence, equal in all circumstances, cuts completely through the limitations of making things determinate. So the sphere, without edges or corners, is all-embracing. There is freedom within the expanse that cannot be sought and is indivisible. And Longchen's commentary. Thus, in the context of spontaneous presence arising equally in all circumstances, maintain your experience of its naturally manifest quality without making distinctions. I would say maintain your realization is probably a better translation there. Experiences are nyam, we're dealing with Rigpa itself. So it says, so when you become free of the confines of the physical body at death, the outer and inner display of confusion dissolves into its mother aspect, the nature of phenomena. When you perceive spontaneous presence in light of the ground of being as it manifests, there is natural freedom, for you reach a turning point through the instructions on recognizing this as manifesting naturally. Might be a reference to Togya there. The victory of the razor-sharp weapon of instructions for recognizing what is the very essence and of the whirling blade of the natural manifestation of spontaneous presence brings freedom in original basic space. This is sounding a lot like Togya because of the whirling blade and everything, but you all can give me your opinions on that or facts on that. So it says this is referred to as convergence within a unique sphere, Dharmakaya. And by the way, some of you who are seeing the little white dancing dots, that's great because you can start to see how your mind is outside of your body as well. But you should be able to start seeing bindus. So, right. But those little white dots, there could be all kinds of bindus, you see. And typically when you start to see a rainbow orb around the white dots and things like that, you're starting to get a significant realization of the reflexivity. Yeah, very good. Yeah, we'll have to share more about the cloud gazing and photo gazing and all the fun stuff we do. Very interesting. As I said, cloud gazing. It says just as clouds, right there. The word cloud. I saw that word just as I said it. All right. Well, we can pause it there. Thank you, Yeshi, and everybody for making this happen today and allowing me to present and give my thoughts on these passages. Very profound passages. I just relate to my meditation practice best I can, and yeah, I think there's been so much kindness from these gatherings coming. I really appreciate you, and I hope you know that I feel the same way about you all. I have no negative thoughts about any of you, and truly admire you as Buddhas, and the reverence that you know that I'm being shown is, I just am very humbled by that. Okay, so maybe keep it to a minimum. I'm just kidding. Anyway, yeah, it's very, very humbling because the main mission here is just to use this practice to be free, and the fact that there are a significant, excuse me, amount of people uh, embracing the view. mm, Couldn't have even imagined that. Although, to be honest with you, I had visions. I saw it, but you know, I remember clearly asking, how do we make a room with a bunch of videos? And we didn't even have the technology at the time. Yes, you might have even been there as I was making little templates and saying, this is what it's got to look like. And we were talking to special programmers and things because it wasn't so easy to have all these video feeds before. But now it is. So that's so reassuring that I had glimpses of it before we got here. To me, that's all I need. Uh, are these little reassurances. I don't think anything could ever knock me off track because of that, because of the glimpses and guarantees and reassurances. Mm. What does it say? Our Dawei, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Oh man, yeah. I just a little bit of. Okay, well, any final thoughts or anything going on? Everyone good? Nidhi's like, we're not going nowhere. Got another couple hours of meditation on it. Oh hell yeah. Yeah, I suppose it could be an oh hell yeah. That's the part that we're exploring because like Scott was sharing, typically Dzogchen groups were small. And then also, who knows the fine details of what they were sharing in those sessions. So one thing I've come to see is that when somebody gets pointing out, you can notice it. And then I can notice it, which is great, but I want other people to be able to notice that they had it. That we can all verify, right? So it's not just some like placebo trick that we're playing on ourselves. Um, so we have this little. So I ask sometimes, did you have a oh yeah feeling? I've asked that to many people, and usually yes. There's been maybe 1 out of 30 who said no. I said, oh, it was very small, so I don't think it was anything. But it was something. It's just that the clouds of conditioning were very, very heavy. So we couldn't quite appreciate the depth of that recognition. Yeah. So we just do our best to really pin it down for the first time, and who knows? I've never really heard of being able to pin it down exactly that somebody had a recognition or something like that. But my hopes is that if I can see it, maybe Yeshi can be talking to somebody in this group and point them to awareness and see, oh yes, they saw it. We can verify it, not just with me doing it, right? With others of you being able to do it, because we don't want it to be so hierarchical. I don't know if that'll work or not, but I think so. I feel like some of you have shared this practice with others, and it's sort of our right to share that. Like we have a cup of water and somebody's thirsty, you would share it. So we just have to be skillful and consider the four conditions of the right time, right place, right presenter, right recipient. And then I think we'll be okay. I'm not saying everybody go out and give pointing out, but don't close the doors to that. You may have that in you. Joku want to speak too?
Yeah, we had that with my buddy Corey the first time he showed up. You weren't here, and Dorje gave pointing out. And afterwards, we were talking about it, and I've known Corey 25 years, and I was able to say that I saw two instances, because Dorje went at it for a while and then circled back around because it wasn't, Corey was sitting very still, you couldn't tell much. But having known him for a long time, I said, hey, I saw him have recognition, and I don't think he liked it. And Dorje was like, yeah, I saw that. I felt that.
Oh,
so,
yeah,
it was very interesting.
The person has to be super safe. They have to feel safe and comfortable. That's why typically it's good if they have some kind of background, some kind of preliminary thing that led them to this. Meditation background, or sometimes people go through some hard times and they're very serious about recognizing the nature of mind. They're very sincere about it. I shouldn't say serious in regards to rigidity, but I've met people who have not done a lot of mantras in their life. They just want to be free bad enough, and they warm up to this practice. All right, very nice. Yeah, and we'll continue to explore. Our group is definitely on the front lines in many ways, and I've told you that throughout the months and months and months. You guys are way ahead, and high level stuff here. So it's like walking on the moon. We're pioneering new territory here. And my hopes is that really, if it can catch on, because then more beings will be. Stop it. Is everybody else hearing the awe sound? That's terrible. Okay. No. I don't mind. It's fine. So anyway, long as it doesn't start to get crazy, we'll be okay. But here's the second part of the vision. I saw the group, I saw all this happen, but what if it's our time to really wake up and on a mass level and on a grander scale? What if it's the only thing we have left, for a lot of people, and it's becomes priority then, not kind of a luxury that we have just to practice the Dharma. It's like we have to wake up. It's our last option, right? And then if there is a butterfly effect, if there is any truth to any of this stuff, then we will continue to benefit the whole world. That one less person being unkind in traffic, being unkind to the animals, yelling in front of the children and things like that, showing the children all these really kind of rough vibes, right? An awareness holder would not do that because they're seeing the impact on people. And so the more people have this access to their pure cognizance, truly neighborhoods, towns, families, partnerships can be a whole lot smoother. And we do our own reflection correction. Like, yeah, I was sounding harsh when I said that. I'm going to make sure to continue to trust in my own reflection and correction that I saw. For example, last session, I felt like I was speaking a little too harsh to our friend. And, whatever rights and wrongs there are, I know that it was all meant to be to bring things to the surface that needed to come to the surface. That's the inner part of it that was wonderful. But on the outer, there was harmonization going there. I was feeling, hey, next time around, be more gentle, you see? And I learned that right there in that moment, or shortly after, because I was willing. I was willing to give in and say, you know what, I was sounding harsh there. I was sounding cold there. Let that go. You know, you'll feel a lot better. I'm talking to myself here. You'll feel a lot better if you act kind. You won't have regret. You'll, experience, and maybe you'll continue to have similar liberation that'll benefit all those around you. All right, so yeah, it's kind of another thing with the group. I'm starting to invite everybody to discuss more among each other, and it's really so beautiful when you start talking amongst yourselves, and I can learn from you and your sharings. And so this past week, I've been trying to embrace that too. Okay, to just when it's right, when it's flowing, just people talking more, sharing more, and me talking less. It's always nice, right? When there's a balance. Okay. So we'll end here then, speaking of which, with a moment of silence. Om Mani Padme. Deep bow to you, everybody. Take care out there.